Hello, Beatle friends, and hello to everybody else watching. Time for a Beatles vinyl collection video. This video will be the first of my new series, which will be showing the Beatles US albums on Capitol Records. I already did a one showing the VJ albums, even though I actually got some VJ stuff after I did that video. But I'm going to do a series of videos showing all my copies of each and every Beatles album that was released on Capitol Records. This video will be the first in the new series. Now, um, I'm still gonna do more videos showing the UK albums, but the ones that I put up so far, I'm not too happy with. I'm thinking about redoing the videos, so stay tuned for the new videos of the UK albums that I showed you already, as well as the ones that I haven't shown everything yet. So I'm gonna be back and forth, showing copies of a Beatles US album and a Beatles UK Parlophone album. So, all right, on to the collection video. I'm going to show you all copies of the Beatles' first Capitol album, which is Meet the Beatles. This album was released on July 20th, 1964. Breakthrough album, a great seller for the Beatles. This album was a huge hit when it came out in 1964. I have a nice stack of copies to show you. I have some first pressings, and I have some second pressings and third pressings, as well as a West Coast pressing. So hope you enjoy this video of me showing all copies of Meet the Beatles. And I'm going to show my father's own copy of the album, and I'll talk about that copy. I'm going to save that one for last. So, all right, I'm going to start off with the mono albums. This one is a perfect start. This is Meet the Beatles in the Sears bag. Not a plastic shrink, but Sears bag. When this album was released, they didn't shrink wrap records. So this was as close as you can get to getting the first pressing of Meet the Beatles sealed, but with inside the Sears bag. And this is usually, this is a sought after, this one of, copies of Meet the Beatles and Introducing the Beatles in the Sears bag are highly sought after by collectors. I don't have Introducing the Beatles in the Sears bag yet. Probably won't for a long time, but you never know. So, all right, let me take everything out. Here's the back cover. This doesn't have the George Martin credit. And here's the original blue inner sleeve, the Capitol inner sleeve, in nice condition. And let me take out the record. Here it is on the Capitol color band label. This is the first pressing variation without the BMI ASCAP music publishing credits for all 12 songs. And this one's in brilliant condition. There's hardly a flaw in this vinyl copy. And this one I got for a high double-digit price. This was originally $100, but I used the coupon that I had. So, got this for a nice amount. So, okay, here's another copy of Meet the Beatles. Same pressing. Original mono first pressing. No George Martin credit on the back. This is in the plastic sleeve. And here's a close-up of the jacket. Looks real nice. RIAA3. The one in the Sears bag that I just showed you is also RIAA3, which means it's a Scranton, Pennsylvania pressing, an East Coast pressing. There's some little flaws here, but overall this thing looks nice. This was a an upgrade I got for about $40–50, I think. And here's a capital inner sleeve, blue inner sleeve, flawless. Looks flawless. Little seam split there. It did come with the seam split when I received it. So here's the record. Once again, no BMI ASCAP credits. This one has some flaws, but the record still looks nice. And I believe I have another mono copy of this. Now, the stack of my Meet the Beatles albums that I have here are just spread out, so I'm not going to know which pressing I have next after one copy. So just have to bear with me. So, all right, that's my second copy of Meet the Beatles. First pressing variation, but without the Sears bag. And this one is not a first pressing. Another Meet the Beatles. A different color. This is like a greenish, a dark greenish kind of color, like a lime green color on the Beatles here. This one looks nice. This was a $7 fine that I got a few years ago. And this one's also RIAA3, which is a Scranton, Pennsylvania pressing, East Coast pressing. And this one doesn't have a George Martin credit on the back. Let me show you the inner sleeve. It's more of a purplish color, so it's darker. And here's the record. This one's in beautiful condition, happy to say. This one is a second pressing. This one has, on side one, I Want to Hold Your Hand has the BMI credit. The rest of the songs on side one have the ASCAP credit. And on side two, all songs have the ASCAP credit. In beautiful condition, except there's some spindle marks. And I think I have another first pressing to show you. So, all right. Put this away nicely here. All right, and I'll show you what looks to me like another first pressing variation. And there's some writing on here. But what's weird about this is that this uses the 1965 capital sleeve. This is a circa 1965 capital inner sleeve. You know, about early 65. And here's the record. No BMI ASCAP credits for this one, once again. I've been going after copies of this album without the BMI ASCAP credits and also without the George Martin credit. Some flaws on here, but it plays great. I haven't played through the whole thing, but it's got marks on it, but the marks don't do any harm to the record. Alright, another Meet the Beatles in mono. I put the inner sleeve on the back here. This is the capital inner sleeve, the blue one. Alright, back to the album jacket. Also, this one's RIAA2. Once again, no George Martin credit. And I don't think this one's a first pressing. No, it's not a first pressing. And this one, yeah, it does come with the capital inner sleeve. I had to put it on the back of the jacket. This one, all songs. Okay, all right. So, all right. Now on side one, the first two songs have the BMI credit. I Want to Hold Your Hand, I Saw Her Standing There. But the rest of the four songs have the ASCAP credit. Now on side two, the only song that has the BMI credit is I Want to Be Your Man. The rest of the songs have the ASCAP credit. So another one has some inner sleeve marks, but it looks great. Still looks great. All right, and I have one more mono copy to show you before I get to the stereo albums. I'm gonna save a mono copy for last after I show you all the stereo albums. Okay, here's another mono copy. I have a habit of you know, keeping the inner sleeves separate from the album, but here's the back of it. This one doesn't have the George Martin credit. Doesn't look like any of the monos I have are George Martin credit, so I'll have to seek out one if I can. So, all right, RAAA3 for this copy. Oh, another first pressing. Another first variation. Going crazy with these you know, copies of this album without the BMI ASCAP publishing credits. This one, not in the greatest condition, but it plays great without any issues. It's just has basically, you know, pops and surface noise, but plays great though. Alright, that is all of the mono copies of Meet the Beatles. I'm going to go over to stereo. I got some nice stereo ones to show you. By the way, when I show, for my future videos, when I show the US albums, I'm only showing the US capital pressings of the American Beatles albums. I'm not going to show things like the UK export of the Beatles second album or Something New or Hey Jude or Beatles 6. I'm not going to show Japanese pressings of some of the US albums. It's all going to be the US, all the US pressings that were pressed that were released by Capitol and pressed at the Capitol factories in the United States. So, all right, thought I forgot to mention that in the beginning of the video. All right, now on to the stereo. Looks like I only have a few here. All right, here's stereo copy number 1. Has a tape on the bottom here, and this one's RIAA3. No George Martin credit. And here's the record. Label looks rough, but the record plays great. You know, the label doesn't look too bad. Now this one doesn't have the BMI ASCAP music publishing credits for the songs. Here's side 2. And these ones are rarer than the mono ones. There weren't many stereo copies without the music publishing credits that were pressed. Because those had to be corrected quickly. So, all right. 2 more stereo copies. I have another first pressing variation, but it's actually in better condition. It just has some writing on the back. And also RIAA3, no George Martin credit once again. And here's a Capitol inner sleeve. And the record. Another copy without the BMI ASCAP publishing credits. has some marks on the vinyl, but plays through without any issue. And the marks don't affect the play, the playback of the record. So, but this one was about $50, I believe, because I wanted to get a first pressing stereo copy without the BMI ASCAP publishing credits. Alright, and I have another stereo copy. It looks to me like it's going to be a West Coast pressing. So, yeah, it is a West Coast pressing. Here's another stereo Meet the Beatles. RIAA 6. Oh, none of my copies have the George Martin credit on the back. And I believe this one is a first pressing West Coast copy. It's a dark olive, darker color for the Beatles name there. And here's the record. A different font size on the West Coast pressings. The only song that has a BMI credit on this one is I Want to Hold Your Hand. The rest are on side 1 or ASCAP. And same with side 2. But there was never a West Coast pressing of this album where there's no BMI ASCAP credits on the songs. So this is a first pressing or a second pressing. I should have done research on this one before I did this video. But this is a West Coast pressing, pressing at a Los Angeles plant. All right. That's all of my own copies of Meet the Beatles. Now to show you this one here. This one belonged to my dad. My dad's a first generation Beatle fan. He's been a Beatles fan since 1964. First time he heard I Want to Hold Your Hand, he got hooked onto the Beatles immediately. He just when he heard I Want to Hold Your Hand, he just loved how energetic it sounds. It was nothing like he heard before. And then when the song ended, my dad wanted to know who the band was, who the artist was, and the DJ said, "Well, that was the Beatles. I Want to Hold Your Hand, which is going to be a #1 hit in America." So that's not the exact words, but that's a story he shared with me. But all right, now to show you my father's copy of Meet the Beatles. This is not a first pressing variation because he wasn't able to buy records when this album came out. He didn't buy records until the Something New album later in 1964, which is the first pressing. He got that when it came out. So, all right, here's his copy of Meet the Beatles. Not in the greatest condition. Back here. And this is our RIAA 2. Now this one doesn't have the capital inner sleeve. And my father put his name on the records, and I'm sad to say I'm going to have to cover his name. But this is the same. This is the BMI ASCAP variation. So looks to me he's got a third pressing variation. He didn't get this until like later in 1964. The first 2 songs have the BMI credit, and the rest are ASCAP. And let me show you side 2. I'm also going to cover my father's name, sorry to say. All songs except I Want to Be Your Man have ASCAP. I Want to Be Your Man has the BMI credit. And this one sounds bad. My father sadly played this on a cheap turntable. It is worn out. It sounds noisy. He wore this record out. And he also used to take his records to school parties. He was a kid back in the 60s. He used to go to school parties and he would take records, and this was one of them. So, All right, that wraps up this Meet the Beatles vinyl collection video. I hope you enjoyed seeing all my own copies, and hope you enjoyed seeing my father's copy right here that he got back in 1964. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to do more U.S. vinyl collection videos. And I'm also going to do more of the UK ones. I'm going to have to redo the UK ones that I put up. You know, Please Please Me and Meet the not Meet the Beatles, With the Beatles, and the White Album. So stay tuned for the new versions of, you know, new edition of those videos, as well as vinyl collection videos of albums that I haven't gone through yet. So, all right. Thank you very much for watching, and talk to you all later.